Can I invite Lakshman to his own function? Wherever you want. Because it's your function, you can sit wherever you want. It's time also to invite two people who saw young VVS grow up here in Hyderabad, then saw his journey as he went ahead, played for India, and who had a big role to play in that period of his. So it's now no longer Lakshman the child. It's still Lakshman posing for the cameras. Thank you. Can I please invite my college captain, Arshad Ayub. Tough cricketer. Every time Arshad Ayub came for a league match, everyone stopped what they were doing because he was the only guy with an SS Jumbo bat. And so we didn't ogle at his bike. When he left the bat and he went away quietly, we'd pick it up and put it back. The original owner of SS Jumbo. And I don't know if some of you know this, but one of the most popular cricketers on the circuit because he was always laughing. Sagi Lakshmi Venkatapati Razu. He's still smiling. I also knew that if nobody wears a tie today, Arshad Ayub will wear a tie. क्या देखे इसमें आप? I remember the story of Johnny, who's here. Where are you, Johnny? Give us a wave. Why he wanted him to play for a club like East Maratpalli, I don't know. But you saw him in the nets and said, sorry, I want him for Enscons.
Yes, I did.
क्या देखे?
Basically, the approach to the game. What happened at the time was that he was very young at the time. I don't know how old he was right now. I can't remember that. Probably 15, I think. And the way he was playing in the nets. Enscons used to practice in John Manotska camp. And we were practicing. And Lakshman was playing there. And I saw him there. And I thought that, this boy has got something in him. And the way he's approaching the game, I felt that there is definitely a spark. And that's where I told Johnny that, yes, I think he should play for Enscons rather than any other club.
Do you know, though, that that was planned? They knew you were coming to look for a battle for Enscons, so Johnny made him bat in front of you?
Well, it worked out, isn't it? It did work out.
And then Lakshman writes in the book about 1993, when you were just starting to come. And Arshad, of course, had played for India, had played 12 or 13 test matches for India. And you would talk to these young people about ambition and about goals and trying to aim higher?
I do, actually. I did that during that time. And I feel that, we always had a problem with, not to mention anybody here in particular, but like Bombay. No. In Bombay, what used to happen is they always used to be test cricketers who used to talk to the youngsters. And they used to be really great help there. And they used to come from the ranks. And I felt that, we were not, when we were playing for India, nobody came and talked to us as such. And we made on our own. But I felt that, that was the time that, the youngsters who have got the potential, they must be spoken to and they must be encouraged in the right way so that, they get the right direction. Channelize them properly. That's what I felt.
He told you, look at what Sachin is doing at 16, right?
Yeah, so this was when I just finished playing under 15, and this was when I used to regularly practice at St. John's camp. And we finished the practice session, and that's when Enscons was going to have selection for bowlers and for the league team. So I was just about to leave the academy when John sir asked me to stay back and bat. And I always enjoyed batting and would never ever say no to John sir. So I stayed back, and there were some senior bowlers. And I was supposed to play that year for EMCC, which was a 2-day team. And Enscons also was a 2-day team. This was in my 11th class. So I was just eligible to play under 16 that year. So as it turned out, Arshad bhai liked the way I batted because there were some senior bowlers, experienced bowlers who already had played league cricket. So he convinced John sir that even though my card had been made for EMCC, that no, let Lakshman play for Enscons, I will take care of him. And it was probably one of the turning points. You know, there are a lot of turning points in my life, in my career, which I mentioned in the book. You know, the first one was, of course, my uncle identifying the talent, my parents allowing me to play the game of cricket, uncle making me join in the camp adjacent to my grandparents' house, started by M.V. Narasimha Rao. The coaches took care of me. But I felt that playing for Enscons was one of the biggest turning points because I was in the second slip. In the first slip was Arshad Bhai. In the second slip was Abdul Azim Bhai. Azim Bhai is here. So for me, it was a great learning experience. You know, in middle of two legends of Hyderabad cricket, one who already played for India. And I still remember, it was, so the matches used to happen on Saturdays and Sundays, the weekends. And it was a rain-affected match, and Arshad Bhai had a habit of providing lunch to the entire team. So he used to get a big tiffin from his home. You know, we all used to have it. It was like a picnic. We used to play in the IF ground, Indian Air Force ground in Balnagar. It was very, very beautiful ground, almost English-type ground. So one of the rain-affected matches, at the start of the season, he called all the youngsters. You know, I was there. I think Arvind Shetty was there. Kiran Kumar was there. So there were a lot of youngsters in that team. So he asked everyone, what's your aim? What's your ambition for that year? And I had already played under 15 South Zone, Hyderabad, of course. And I told Arshad Bhai, my aim is to play for under 16 Hyderabad and hopefully for South Zone. And he told, what are you saying? You know, there's a young, because he just came back from the Pakistan series. This was, I'm talking about 1999. He came back from Pakistan series where Sachin made his debut. And that's when Arshad Bhai told, you know, someone who is just 1.5 years older to you is playing against Imran Khan, Waqar Yunus, Wasim Akram. And you're telling you your aim is only to play under 16 Hyderabad, under 16 South Zone. And then I was like taken aback because that's something which I've never heard before. So he told, you should always have your goals little higher. Never ever be satisfied with achieving smaller things. So your goal this year should be playing under 19 Hyderabad, under 19 South Zone, because you got the ability, you got the talent. So never ever think small. And as it turned out, that year and the following year, when I was 16 and 17 was a turning point. And I can never ever forget what Arshad Bhai told, because that year, even though I was the vice captain of the under 16 team, I did really well under 16 team. Zaki was here, he was my captain. And both of us did really, really well for Hyderabad. And I ended up playing for Hyderabad under 19 as a 16-year-old. So I think that was the big effect he had with those words. You know, he's never ever think about smaller goals. Always try to achieve bigger goals. First set bigger goals. And once you set bigger goals, automatically you can achieve them, you can chase them.
What did you see in him? Because you bowled to a lot of very good players of spin bowling. You were an outstanding spin bowler yourself. When you saw the young kid, what did you see in him first, when you first saw him?
And I think it was Monodola. It was A team versus B team. We played in railway ground. And John was already in Andhra Bank. And like I said, he was practicing there. There was already a talk about Lakshman, the youngster. Then we had the attitude, right? When youngster comes in, we always had to bully them. I think he was...
You are incapable of bullying anybody.
No. I was very thin, but aggression was there. People don't know. I fought with everybody, but I always went back. You know, but during that time, we tried to show that aggression. I think, he gave a chance initially, where Vivek was a captain, he dropped it. After that, he scored an 80 on those cover drives. It's not easy eating cover drives against experienced players. That you knew. And people talk about great batsmen having that extra time. I think he had that.
Hyderabad cricket, for some of you who are younger here, used to be very different. Nowadays, people are very diet conscious, whether they're cricketers or badminton players. They're very conscious of their diets these days. We used to eat biryani for lunch. Yaad hai aapko?
Yeah, absolutely.
So where did that change, Lakshman? This opening the big box, having biryani for lunch, and then suddenly saying no. Kab badla ye?
I think much later, actually. If you look at it, much later. People started thinking in terms of, keeping themselves fit. And then they started... see, if you look at it, when we were playing, we had only one man who was the support staff, if you look at it. The manager. There was no coach, nothing absolutely. And later on, we got physio. So these two people used to manage us at the time. So, and there was no dietary as such. There was no dietary. Later on, all these things came into picture and people were much more conscious, actually. much later. And today's time, it's completely different.
Why does Hyderabad produce players like these? I mean, before VVS, there was Azubai, before Azhar. Even if you go back to the time of Abbas Ali Beg and Jaisima, and some people don't know, people like Sultan Salim and players like those, they're very wristy players. Is it because you play on matting wickets? So why does Hyderabad just produce these kind of players?
Yeah, basically, I know, like you rightly said, matting wicket, you have to play more of back foot and the wrist work what you saw. And I think the quality of cricket was so good. The banks what we had, I think most of any bank you see, you had 8 to 9 Ranji Trophy players. It was more like playing a Ranji. And once you performed against them, you knew you were there. So any youngster who always performed against these teams knew they had something in them and they knew they were going to play big cricket. And that's where we saw a lot of cricketers, because of the matting track, you could see back foot punches and those flicks, everything.
VVS, Hyderabad was like home for you, isn't it? Because you'd got the 167 in Sydney, everybody was talking. Luckily, I was there to watch it. Everyone talks about the 281. The 281 was special. It will define VVS all his life. But anybody who saw that 167, you will not forget that 167, because all we were doing was pushing our jaw back up, saying, is this possible at all? And one test after that, you were dropped. And then you came back, and you had Arshad around you. You had Mr. Jaisima. Maybe just before that phase as well, maybe 97, 98, that phase. You found a home in Hyderabad, didn't you?
Yeah, I've always done, because right from the first time I represented Hyderabad, I think I owe a lot to Hyderabad cricket, to Hyderabad Cricket Association, and all my seniors in Hyderabad cricket. You know, 2 of them are next to me. There are a lot in this gathering. And a lot who are not present today. But, you know, I learned a lot watching them. You know, and one thing which always stuck to me is how tough they are on the field, but they also know how to enjoy the game of cricket. You know, and that's something which Jaisima sir always used to tell when he was the coach. Unfortunately, he passed away when I had that brilliant season, and Arshad Bhai was the coach. He always used to tell that you guys don't know the meaning of cricket and being cricketers. Cricket and being a cricketer means you have to have fun. Only when you have fun will you entertain others who are watching you, because you're an entertainer. So some of those conversations always inspired me. But there's one thing which unfortunately is the unfulfilled dream of mine, is I always, since the time I made my debut for Hyderabad at age group level, under 13, then under 15, 16, 19, 23, everything I played, there was one thing which I always wanted to do was win matches, win tournament for Hyderabad. So I still remember that phase, which was one of the toughest phase in my career. You know, I had a lot of tough phases, which my uncle mentioned before. But that was when I was dropped after one test match where I had a bad performance against South Africa after scoring 167, the previous test match. And then I came back, and all I thought was, I will win Ranji Trophy for Hyderabad. So I'm not thinking about getting back into the Indian team. I'm not thinking about making a comeback. All I wanted to do was fulfill my dream. And being one of the senior batsmen at that time, I thought I will take the responsibility. So when I got those hundreds, when I got the double hundred or triple hundred, it was not to make a comeback into the Indian team, but it was my ambition of winning Ranji Trophy for Hyderabad. Because that's one thing which I will never ever forget. That was the ambition of Jaisima sir. So he told that I played a lot of cricket for Hyderabad, but I never ever achieved that as a player. And that's the reason why he came and wanted to coach Hyderabad cricket, because as a coach, at least I will go on to win Ranji Trophy.
Tell us about that incredible story that you mentioned in the book, and I bring it up because Mr. Jaisima is here with you this year as well, and there's not a single person in this room. You say ML Jaisima and everybody has a smile on his face about how he pulled you out from the nets.
Yeah, that was the game against Baroda. I think it was in 1998, you know, and I was again out of the Indian team, you know, because once you read the book, you know the story in the chapter of the non-regular opener. So when I came back to Baroda and joined the team in Baroda, again being dropped from the test team, I was batting as we all do before the start of the Ranji Trophy match, and I was just not in sync, you know, because I was a touch player, I was a rhythm player, and Jaisima sir knew, because he had so much of experience, he knew that I was clouded in my mind. It was nothing to do about my technique, it was nothing to do about my skill, but mentally I was not there. So he stopped the net session, he calls me out, and while the net he asked the other batsmen to go in and continue with the net session, and he took me for a long walk around IPCL ground in Baroda. And during that long walk, the conversation he had is, Lakshman, I know that you're disappointed, that you're dropped again from the Indian team, but your playing for Hyderabad. So you're not thinking about the Indian team. And you may be an opener for Indian team, but for me and for Hyderabad, you're a number 3 batsman. And just think about what gave you success as a batsman. And if you break it down, the only reason you were successful in whatever matches you played so far is because you enjoyed the game. So I'll ask you a simple question. Are you enjoying the game at the moment? Are you enjoying hitting the cricket ball? And suddenly that struck to me that I'm not enjoying. Cricket suddenly has become a burden to me because I wanted to be in the Indian team, but I'm not part of the Indian team. And then he told, it was a very honest conversation with him, and he told me then that now I want you to go there, and I want you to just go and watch the cricket ball, which is the basics of batting. Watch the cricket ball, enjoy being out there, enjoying the sound of the bat meeting the ball, and don't think about whether my head is in the right position, whether my feet is going across. Don't think about the technique. Just go out there and enjoy hitting the cricket ball. And it was bliss. The next 20 minutes, suddenly I got back my rhythm. And as it turned out, one more challenge after that, which he posed to me, is don't be contented now with this 20 minutes net session. The challenge for you, for tomorrow, which is the match day, is whether you can bat the entire day. I don't care whether you're on 50 not out. I don't care whether you're 100 not out. I want you to come out unconquered at the end of the day. Can you do that? That's a challenge. And as it turned out, I did that. I got a double 100. And suddenly runs again flowed from my bat. I got back my rhythm. And again, the experience of Jaisimha sir helped me to revive the love for batting.
You talked about Arshad opening the big dabba, and there was food for everybody. Much before you, we used to play MCC in the league matches. And where's Mrs. Jaisimha? Do you had an old ambassador? And used to pick up the boot of the ambassador. The boot of the ambassador used to open. And all the food, and more than just food, used to be in the boot. But the great thing about it was not only his team that had it. Everybody could come and have that, and that was the prevailing culture then. And just to give you an idea of the prevailing culture, Venkatpati Raju was a senior test cricketer when you were around, and you didn't mind throwing balls at him because nobody was willing to throw balls at him to bat.
Now, if it was now, I would have charged him.
There's no much very professional now. What time a professional later, Venkat?
No, that time we never had this. No, like Arshad Bhai said, there's only one manager. And whenever we played away from India, there were nobody to throw because they would charge. So our job as extras, we had to throw down. And like Lakshman,
charge?
Sorry, yeah, outside guys, yeah. Australia and all, they charge to come and bowl in the nets.
Maybe I should charge him also.
Yeah, we should do that. That's why I said if it was now, I would have charged him. But then that was like, no, throwing to Lakshman and Rahul Dravid is the worst thing. Because an Indian batsman would bat up. 4 or 5 guys would bat up, be ready for somebody to throw at you. And it was a pleasure throwing down. It's nothing like, you are just helping. And like we said, Hyderabad team was fun. Like we were been out of the Indian team. But once you came into the Hyderabad team, the atmosphere is different. And we had Sridhar, we talk about Doc Sridhar. Sridhar would always tell you, and he always told Lakshman just to concentrate. Be there, we don't want you here. That's the confidence they gave, and it was fun being in Hyderabad dressing room.
Just on that story, which I
on
write.
Throwing balls?
On throwing balls. This was
for which you didn't pay him.
Yeah. I can't afford paying Venkat, you know that. But this was...
now you can. Huh? I think you can now.
Okay. So this was in 1996, 97, my first overseas tour to South Africa. And I was not part of the playing 11 in Durban in the first match, and we lost the match in 3 days' time. And as used to be the norm, when you lose the match in 3 days' time, then you're not going back to the hotel because the coach, everyone are disappointed. You had to have a net session. And at that time, as Venkat rightly mentioned, it was very tough to get net bowlers. So the bowlers in the team had to do a lot of bowling, even in net sessions. And I was not playing in that match, so as a reserve, it was my duty to do bowling. So the batsmen, it was the top 6 batsmen who played in that match, they had a hit. And suddenly, the indoor in Durban opened, the indoor facility opened, and first time everyone were very excited seeing the bowling machine because as batsmen, they want to prepare for the next stage, which was going to be in Cape Town. So they went and everyone, the main batsmen went there. The bowlers, everyone are tired. So as a substitute who didn't play in that match, I was waiting eagerly when my turn will come to play and bat. And unfortunately, there's no one there. And that's when I still never ever forget, Venkat comes and tells to me in Telugu in his usual style, and he tells that, it's very important for you to be prepared. because don't expect anyone will come and help you, because you never know when you will get your chance. Now, when you get your chance, no one will even bother or understand whether you had enough net sessions or how was your preparation. All people will expect is, have you grabbed the opportunity? All people expect is, are you scoring runs for your team? And he walked the talk. He told, okay, you do one thing, you pad up, I will throw. And he threw, even though I was not satisfied with the number of balls he threw. But still,
He said because he had such a beautiful action that he could not throw.
yeah, I mean, very, very efficient, as far as, being a left-arm spinner.
But what exactly you tell him in Telugu? Is it okay to tell here? Or?
No, he never used his...
That Telugu?
Wo Telugu use nahi kara.
Then I can tell one thing. He was my roommate. No, he was my roommate when we toured with the A team to Sharjah. No, he got 100. Praveen Amre made him run a lot. He got 100. So we would go for shopping. So I went for shopping and I bought a pair of shoes for him. He said, how much is it? I said, no, when you play, when you earn, then you give me. Now we have cricketers, we already played. So like that, the three more things now. Even though I was a tail-ender, whenever I went to bat, India always lost. Or we drew. But I had brilliant bats. So my bats were part of his centuries. That much I can say.
So,
Even the 167 was scored using Venkat's bat. The 281 was scored using Venkat bat. Not that that bat was meant for Venkat, but he took from he took from the frontline batsman. The 281 bat he took from Robin Singh. The 167 bat he took from M.V. Sridhar. But he always used to give me. There was Vinod Kamli got him a brand new SS gloves. This was even before I played for India, 1994. And it was a brand new SS gloves, and I just took, because Azubai didn't come and spend too much time with us. He used to come only once a year to play one match. So Venkat used to be there, and when we all as youngsters used to see Venkat's kit, Arshad Bhai's kit, he used to have his BDM stuff. So Venkat...
No. Before, BDM is after. First
my SS Jumbo ka time mein nahi tha.
Yeah, SS Jumbo.
So when I opened that kit, and I was just seeing, oh, this is beautiful gloves, because good protection. Because at that time when you buy the gloves, I didn't have the contract as yet from Beat All Sports. So you had to buy from the sports shop, and the protection on those gloves or in those gloves was not great. So I was just seeing that, and Venkat, such a warm-hearted, in Hyderabad terms, a dildar, he told, keep it. So brand new gloves, and there was one bat which Ajay Jadeja gave to him, and this was in Kottayam. We were playing a match there. I just, in my own way went and again said, oh, Venkat, lovely bat, beautiful, balance. Keep it. So it used to always be like that.
If I known Hyderabad was like this, I would have picked up Arshad's SS Jumbo.
Then we picked up his BDM bats, like Chamundi also. They all had brilliant bats. The bowler, you have to go and just stand there and just feel it. It's yours.
So now he has to return to you one pair of gloves, one bat,
shoes.
one pair of shoes.
Yeah.
All Venkat will look is a golf kit. He's not interested in cricket. Neither he wants to be remembered as a cricketer. He's a fantastic golfer.
But the best thing about Arsha, the 281, like we all spoke about, most of them watched live, most of them were watching. That was my last game. Right, and I had the habit of sitting inside. We never had this habit of watching a game live. I think it was John Wright who literally pulled us out. And I should tell you this, the day before, because I was batting with him, first innings. So we had Chetan Chavan and Madan Lal. They came, they called us, and they were just explaining Test cricket, what Test cricket is all about, how you can draw a match from this situation. So I was sitting there already packed because they just needed one wicket. Lakshman or Rahul gets out, tail follows. So I'll be very frank, I already packed mine because with experience. Because so then when Madan Lal said something, he said, no sir, we're winning this game. He said that. He said, no sir, we're winning this game. We are still on follow-on. I was looking at him, then अपने दिल में सोच लिया क्या पागल कर रहा है कहीं एक मिनट गिरे तो घर को जाने क्या है ऐसा क्या बोल रहा है ना जाके कल खेलते but first time in my life I watched the whole innings, the 281. I think at least last game, but memorable game for me.
Ladies and gentlemen, Venkat Padiraju, Arshad Ayub, VVS Lakshman, thank you very much. Thank you. Thank you very much. Lakshman, you're not going anywhere.
Yeah, I'll just give.
नहीं आप ठहरो एक मिनट Shukriya, Arshad bhai. Razgaru. It's my pleasure now to invite two young men onto the stage. And I say young because you reach a stage in life and everybody becomes young after you, right? But they're both about the same age as Lakshman. One of the reasons we thought we'd invite them is that Lakshman is a cricketer, brought a lot of joy, but I think his contribution to the people of this land goes far beyond cricket. So can I get Pullela Gopichand? And the man everyone knows as just KTR, you know, it's so cool. So I don't understand protocols, so I'll just be cool.
Thanks. Thank you.
Gopi, what is it about you and Lakshman and players from this era that they're part sportsmen, part philosophers? I hear your interviews and I think there's a philosopher speaking. I hear Lakshman's interviews and I think there's a philosopher speaking. And both of you talk about the Gita and they're not worrying about the reward. And what is it about the two of you? No wonder you get along so well.
Well, I don't have an answer for this, but I think...
But you just get along very well.
Yeah. I think he's very special. And for us in Hyderabad, I think very happy, very proud that he belongs to Hyderabad. I think for us, we own it and we feel proud because Hyderabad has iconic structures but also iconic people, and Lakshman is definitely what we are all proud of.
Actually, that's something I wanted to ask you as well.
The first question I wanted to ask both of them is, who's this Gita they talk about?
I'm Gita you're thinking about.
Yeah, Harsha, you had a question.
No, go on. I think you can do this by yourself.
These two gentlemen are such nice guys, and you were trying to find some quirk somewhere, you know. And I don't think you've been successful tonight, I must tell you this.
No.
You tried Shailaja, you tried, I think, everybody on the podium, and not a single person. Well, I'm Ram, by the way. He's Lakshman, so I can't say much about my brother.
And he's just a gopi.
He's just Gopi. So he has all the things, you know. All the colorful stories are his, not ours.
No, but, you know, on a larger note, because you see life we see a life in sport, whereas you have the privilege of seeing life beyond. What is the contribution of people like this to Hyderabad, now Telangana, the unified Andhra before that? Where do they stay in society, people like Gopi and Lakshman?
Before I get to that, let me just quickly talk about 281, because I think I have an interesting story to tell about this. See, I am a huge cricket fan. In fact, when Lakshman called me the other day, he said, you know, you should come. The first question I asked him is Rahul coming? Yeah, I'm a huge Rahul Dravid fan. I know I'm a huge fan of his too, but I'm a huge fan of Rahul Dravid. I had his poster up and all that. Point is, when both of them were batting, I was in the US, and in fact, we didn't have webcasting. We didn't have any of these luxuries that the kids these days have. You know, they can even watch cricket on their watches and things like that. So I actually was an avid follower, and I used to read these columns and articles in Rediff. In fact, Rediff was one of the more popular websites then. If I remember correctly, the name of the gentleman was Prem Panikkar.
He will be overjoyed when I tell him the story.
Trust me, you know, I used to read it religiously, and I remember one thing he wrote, you know. He said, the day we were following on, and Lakshman and Rahul Dravid closed the day, he wrote, he said, if India has to level this game, draw this game, both of them will have to bat through the day tomorrow. And then he goes on to say something, and then he ends saying, you know, and then who knows, somebody might even walk on water or something like that, you know, something extremely impossible to imagine. Next day, I actually have waited the whole night, and I wanted to see what goes on. These two gentlemen bat through the day, and India actually goes on to win the game. And this is somebody sitting in the United States, reading a blog or reading a column, following this game religiously and just trying to update. And see, unfortunately, I couldn't actually see the game live. Then, I actually find the game on tape, watch it to see exactly what happened. And it was truly magic, even though I knew what was happening. It was truly magic. So, going back to your question, the original question about what these two gentlemen have done to this city and the state, I can only tell you one thing, you know. In the mundane life that we all lead, you know, the regular stuff.
Don't.
Trust me, I do. In fact,
No,
I was
you
just
don't.
telling him. I was just telling him this is such a refreshing change
Far
for
away
me.
enough from you to be able to say that.
Nay, but these two gentlemen and their success stories, and of late other youngsters who have also, done very well in their sporting lives, Sanya, Saina, Sindhu, and many others, in fact, of this city, they just, you know, bring us that much needed positivity, much needed change, much needed change in thought process that we can compete and we can beat the best in the world. We can be the best in the world. We can beat the best in the world. That's what these two guys have done. They brought us hope. They brought us glory. They brought us laurels. I mean, I'm just, thrilled to sit between the two of them. For God's sake, I mean, how often do you get a chance like this to sit between two legends,
Did you follow Lakshman's career as you were training on the badminton courts? Were you following his career?
We all went to the same society of schools rather, and these were one of the, at that point of time there were three of those schools, All Saints, Little Flower and St. Paul's. So we pretty much knew, or I knew about Lakshman from then on, because we had competitions like the Stanislaus and the Montfort Games. And then it was multi-sporting events, and we knew about Lakshman and how he was playing and how the school matches he had won. And then I got on to my badminton, and there was a little gap directly connecting or something. But yes, there was definitely that somebody from Hyderabad is doing well, and that somebody was somebody whom I knew was something which was very good. But as time went on, yes, I think I was following, but not so keenly as what I would think.
Gopi always talks about it, and you write about it in the book as well, that when you play for the goal, you get distracted. When you play for the joy, then the goal just happens. Do you still believe in that?
Absolutely. And again, for me, I go back to my maternal and the paternal grandfather, the influence they had. And my paternal grandfather, Jagannath Shastri Garu, he taught Bhagavad Gita.
I hear it loud and clear.
Bhagavad Gita. And again, we all as kids were asked to recite and by heart the 12th chapter of Bhagavad Gita, known as Bhakti Yoga. And I believe that the gist of that 12th chapter will be there in all the motivational books, all the autobiographies of eminent personalities. And in that, my father recited one sloka, in that it mentions, the essence or the gist of that is, you do the hard work, you are committed to whatever profession or whatever work you're doing, but never ever crave for the fruits of that action. And that kind of disciple is very close to Lord Krishna, because that's what he's telling to Arjuna, who is struggling to fight his cousins, fight his uncles, fight the elders in the family. That's what Lord Krishna says. So I followed that, and as it turns out, you ask any sports person the same question, they will answer in the same way, but using different references. Because what does a sports person think about the end result outcome? Everyone wants to achieve success. But can you guarantee success? You can't. I may work really hard, but will it guarantee me 100 each and every innings I play? It won't. It even didn't happen to the great Don Bradman. So the essence of that Bhagavad Gita, or the essence of having success, is to concentrate on the preparation and have fun doing that preparation, have fun and enjoying the process. And once you have fun, the more amount of time as a batsman you spend on the ground, on the wicket. Because if batting becomes a burden to you, then you become very restless, and the moment you become restless, your decision making will get hit. So as a batsman, for me to bat for long periods of time and only then I can score runs, I should have fun, and I should not be thinking about the outcome. And that's probably the mantra for anyone who has achieved success in sports.
By the way, it's getting time for Gopi's bedtime, by the way. I don't know if some of you know, but it's getting time for his bedtime. You speak to a lot of young badminton players. If someone brought to you a group of young cricketers, what would you tell them? See, that's one of the problems of being called Guru Gopi.
Well, I think...
No, I'm just trying to establish a link between what I've read in the book and what you have achieved in your life.
Well, I think if there's young bunch of kids who are 8, 9, 10 years old come up, I would say play sport. Irrespective of whether you become a champion or not, you will become a champion in many other things. Irrespective of whether you win medals on the field, you will be a champion in many other things. I think the fundamentals of sport are far beyond winning medals. And it's the mindset which makes you a champion. And I'm sure Lakshman, if he would have been in any other field, would have still been a champion. Because I think sport brings that out. Sports makes you learn that. So if a bunch of kids come to me, I would say you're in the right direction. Forget everything else. Go ahead and play blindly.
I know he would have made a very good surgeon because he batted like one sometimes. But thank you very much.
Thanks.
Gopi Kedia, thank you very much.
Thank you, Asha. Cheers.
Wonderful to have you over. Actually, you can have one. No, it's their moment. I'll do it later. It's their moment. Thank you.